This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Hi, friends. I'm Carrie Jo, and this is Holy Chuckles Podcast. This is a space for honest faith, lived experiences, and shining a light in the places we've learned to hide. I'm not here to explain faith. I'm here to live it out loud. So take a breath and let's make room for what's real. Welcome back to Holy Chuckles. I'm really glad you're here. I'm still in verse 36, and I'm okay being here. I said in my last episode, I told God I'll stay here as long as I need to. And that's what I've been doing. Just staying here, just being in it, just living it. And last week I moved forward in verse 36. Verse 36 talks about begging for provisions, begging for something outside yourself. When I look at my life, that wasn't just about money or provisions. It was about control. It was about wanting to be accepted, trying to manage everything around me. Those are the things that had authority over my life. And working through those things, really understanding them. Then, after understanding them, realizing they still had a hold on me and working through that. Now, coming to this episode today, I know they don't have a hold on me anymore. I don't need to control situations anymore. I'm okay making space for myself, even in places that don't fully match me. I don't need to be accepted by anyone or anything because I'm accepted by God and I'm accepted by myself. And that is good enough for me. I realized I didn't need anything outside of myself. Having anything outside of myself is a benefit. Having friends is a plus. Having family that you get along with and that you have a relationship is a plus. Having things outside of me is a plus. But to function, to live, to be at my very best, I don't have to have those things. But see, I thought I did. If I didn't have relationships, what was wrong with me? If I didn't have a partner, what was wrong with me? If I didn't have things outside myself, what was wrong with me? And I realized thinking that way is what was wrong with me because I put all of my needs, all of who I was in having those things, those relationships, and being seen as being quote unquote normal because I had a partner, because I had relationships in my family, because I had friendships, because I had things. But all of that took me away from who I truly was. All of that took me away from being in alignment with God because I didn't put that first. I'm not saying don't have friends, don't have relationships with your family, don't have a partner. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that when you don't know yourself first, when you don't have a relationship with you first, when you don't have a relationship with God, and then you have all those relationships, something's going to be off balance. Maybe not for you, but for me, that's what happened. It was off balance. I put who I was into those relationships instead of into myself. I talk about God being a part of me. So when I wasn't putting anything into myself, I wasn't putting anything into God. Because me and God, we are together. We are co creating this life. Growing up, the way I understood God, and I really feel the way that I was taught to understand God, was that God was separate from me, that God was this big entity in the sky, that God was this sky daddy far off. And I think that may be why it was hard for me to connect, because it was this entity that was somewhere out in space judging me, telling me what I could or couldn't do, but yet I couldn't see it, feel it, touch it. So how could I let something like that rule my life or tell me I was good or bad? That was hard for me to comprehend as a child, especially seeing all the rules set in place in the religion that my mom grew up in. You can't cut your hair. You have to wear dresses all the time. You can't do this. You can't. It was always, you can't do this. And I feel like it was always, you can't do this for the women. It's kind of like the men had carte blanche in what they wanted to do. It didn't make sense to me, especially being a female. So I couldn't comprehend God. And I couldn't comprehend having a relationship with God because I didn't want those boundaries. I never understood why churches cared what you dressed like when you went in. I'm a shorts and t-shirts kind of person. That's always how I've been comfortable. But I always had to wear dresses to church, and I was never comfortable. And I didn't understand why that was necessary. I didn't understand why they used the phrase, come as you are, and then you couldn't come as you are, whether it be outwardly or inwardly. And maybe it was just the churches we went to. Maybe it was just the rules of this religion. I don't know. Maybe other religions were different. I don't know. But I do know I didn't like the rules of what I grew up in. And quite frankly, I thought they were stupid. They didn't make sense to me. Why would a source who loved me unconditionally put conditions on me? It made no sense to me. And why going to a place to quote unquote worship this source, would this source care that I was wearing shorts or a dress? Would this source care that I was wearing jeans or a dress or my hair was long or short? Why would God care about that? And it wasn't God who cared about that. It was the people who were heading up that religion, that church, that cared. That's where those rules came from. God doesn't care what you show up in. God doesn't care what label you have on your clothes. God doesn't care what kind of house you live in or what kind of car you drive. God doesn't even care if you come to worship on Sunday morning. You know what God cares about? God cares about the relationship. That's it. That's it. God only cares about the relationship and your alignment with yourself and with God. That is it. Go to church on Sunday morning. Don't go to church. Go to church on Wednesday. Don't go to church. God doesn't care about that. God cares about your alignment. God cares about your relationship, and not just the relationship of lifting your hands and worshiping. that real relationship. God wants that real relationship with you, that intimate. Talk every day, talk about everything. That's the relationship God is craving from you. I was so desperate to be accepted by people that I was at everyone's beck and call. Whatever you needed, I would be there. If something happened, I was the first person someone could call. I was so desperate to be accepted. I was so desperate to be liked and to be talked about in a good way that I would make sure no matter what, I was there. And I gave everything I had. But here I am today. Few friends, only a couple of people that I talk to. But the one difference that I have is my relationship with God. Maybe I should say the two differences I have in who I used to be and who I am now is my relationship with God and my relationship with myself. In my old life, I was looking outside of myself to be accepted. Didn't even realize that I hadn't even accepted myself. I didn't even love myself for who I was. I allowed other people to give me that love or to tell me I was accepted. I didn't feel that way about myself. And I sure didn't think God felt that way about me until I started having a real relationship with God. Not just the one where I say, yeah, I believe in God and show up every now and again at a church service. I started having that intimate relationship with God where we were talking every single day. We were talking about everything. God saw me at my worst and held me every single step of that time and continuously has to hold me every single day. Because even in these last 4 to 5 weeks, when I've been in this verse 36 and I keep saying, God, I want to move forward. God, I'm ready to be out of this. I don't like the way that it feels. And God has said, and that's why you're still there. That's why you're still in verse 36. Because you're still having to release. You're still having to let go. And I had to let go of what people thought about me. I had to let go of being in control of every situation. I had to find my place in a space that doesn't match me and be okay with finding that space and living within that space. I had to be okay with not being in charge and being in control and having it my way. This lesson has been one of the hardest for me. One, because I didn't know how much control, acceptance, and managing had control over me. Two, because I was so fearful in letting it go. What if? And three, I was unsure of how my life was going to be after I released those things. I'm here to tell you, my life is just fine without those things. Those things that I kept such a tight grip on. I'm sitting here today going, why did I do that? Why was I so insistent on keeping those things? Because I'm sitting here today and I'm just fine. Everything is just fine. I didn't need those things. And yes, control kept me safe when I had to survive. But I think sometimes we don't realize when we're not having to survive anymore. Now I'm sitting here with God going, I didn't I didn't really need those things anymore. God's like, yeah, I know. I knew that, but I was just waiting on you. Isn't that really how it is? God knows everything, but God's just waiting on us to figure it out. Not only was I trying to figure it out mentally, which I feel like I did a while back, but my nervous system had to catch up. And I felt my nervous system release. I had a physical reaction to my nervous system releasing control, releasing that I had to be accepted, releasing the need to manage everything. It felt like a heart attack and a panic attack all in one. I felt the muscles release. It took me out for probably a whole day, but that physical release helped me to understand what a grip those things had on me. Now I'm just good, just being here in the moment, each moment, just the way that it is. I'm okay not explaining myself. I'm okay saying no and not having to give reasons. It's funny how if I didn't feel like doing something, if I didn't want to do something, and I said no, I had to have a reason behind it. I had to let that person know it was me, not them. I had to give but this is the reason why I can't go, or this is the reason why I can't come over. It couldn't just be no. Now I'm okay with thanks for the invite, but no, with no reason behind it. If someone asks me a question and I don't feel the need to expand on the question or give information that I'm not ready to give right now, it's okay for me to say no. Before, I couldn't do that. And now I'm okay with it. That person's reaction to my action has nothing to do with me. I can't control it. I can't help it. All I can do is be in charge of what I need for me. Some people might call that selfish. I probably would have, but it's not. It's taking care of me, and it's doing what I need to do for me in this moment. Every day I change, and every day where I am in my life is going to change. Maybe tomorrow, I don't want to say no so much. Maybe as I spend more time with myself and more time with God, I continue to say no. I don't know. But what I do know is that here in this moment, I'm not controlling anything. I'm not managing anything. And I'm okay not being accepted, because what is most important to me is being aligned with myself and being aligned with God. For the first time in my life, I'm really okay being in spaces that don't match me. I'm okay not being accepted by people who don't understand me where I'm at right now. And I'm okay not being in control of really anything, because co-creating my life with God means following, not leading. For the next half of my life, I'm okay following God, who has a better view than I have. I'm okay following God, who wants me living my best life, whatever that is. I'm okay following God because God has my best life in mind. A life that I couldn't even imagine, a life that I couldn't even fathom, because I was living a life that I was leading and keeping so small.